We come now to the keynote address of this Kinus. When we had to look for a keynote speaker, I don't believe that in all the years of searching for a keynote speaker amongst the Shluchim, I had someone that was approached and gave me as much resistance as the speaker this evening. It is a shliach who stands out among shluchim, a shliach who is a father of shluchim, but above all, it is a shliach who has a very, very special relationship with the Rebbe Shlita. Someone who over the years was goyim to the Rebbe, much nachas, many Yud Aleph Nissans, sichos were dedicated to areas of endeavor which this shliach undertook, sometimes mammoth tasks, and fulfilled them. And it has brought such a nachas ruach to the Rebbe that the Rebbe spoke sichos many, many times related to the work of this shliach. It is my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you tonight for the keynote. And when Rabbi Krinsky made the announcement yesterday by the mashke, which we were zeicha to receive to the Rebbe turned around afterwards and he said, with a smile, Lahavi li'meis HaMashiach. The keynote tonight, Kol Yemei Chayecha Lahavi li'meis HaMashiach, will be delivered by Hashliach, Harav Rabbi Avremel Yitzchak Shemtov, Shliach in Philadelphia, and the American Friends of Lubavitch of Washington, D.C. Rabbi Shemtov.
I will begin with that which Professor Lyons ended his remarks, and I will start with Oholei. It is very difficult to say no to a call connected with the Kinus Hashluchim. I think it is the holiest task that one can ask to participate in, knowing the attention that the Rebbe gives to the Kinus, and after being approached a few times, and I must tell you, I really didn't want to take it, I thought that this must be Maise Yetzer, which I have to overcome, and I consented. All I ask you is that you bear with me, because basically I'm here trying to put into words some of the feelings which we have all experienced here this evening, so that we can take them back home with us. We just learned the Rambam in recent days about Tefillah, and the Rambam says by Krishma and Tefillah that when a person stands before Hashem in prayer, he should have Einov Lamato V'Libe L'Maylo. His thoughts are aimed to the highest levels that the one aspires to reach. And aspirations go as high as Maisa Avremel Yitzchak V'Yaakov, Moshe Yagil Maisa. But at the same time, a person has to have his Einov Lamato. He has to bear in mind reality which he will face the next moment, days and weeks and to comes and so forth and so on. The feeling that permeated this evening, this hall, and everyone's mind and heart is enough to carry. The question is, how do we put it into tangible words? How can we can this spirit to take it back home with us, as my dear friend Velvel has so amply put it, in describing the joy of everyone being here and dancing over their zechus and lot of being in Zambia, Zaire. Let me tell you, Velvel, you don't have to go to Zambia and Zaire. You can be here in Crown Heights and face the same problems as one faces in Zambia and Zaire. The question is this: should there be a keynote address? Can there be a keynote address? And why should I be the victim? And my friend Feivish, Rabbi Vogel, whom I respect very much, said to me, Avremel, and he's a good friend, du weißt nicht, was zu sagen, besser sag nicht. Another friend goes over and says, I don't envy you. There are many difficult acts to follow, and I don't envy you being in the position you are. And let me tell you something. I'm here now, we're going to speak in English, but I look back at many conversations which I and colleagues of mine have during the year, in the past, and will have in the coming weeks and months to come. This is the evening, these are the days to which we are all looking forward to, and to which we'll be looking back to. And that is important. That is why it's so important that we try and put these days into some words so that we can take them back with us. The Rebbe Susan Gesund spoke yesterday very, very clearly as to what is the task of a shliach, what he expects from a Kinus Hashluchim. And he said it in few words. And he said that Moshiach is a shliach, wie es bedarf zu sein. A shliach who is able to achieve the involvement of his entire being, which are the Eser Keiches HaNefesh, the mind and the emotions and the actions, and if he's able to really get them together and put them where they should be, which is, believe me, easier said than done, once this is accomplished, then this and the Shliach is Moshiach. And when one stops to think back and looks ahead, we have to remember, arrogance is something which is very negative. And unfortunately, arrogance, which some will call it chutzpah, and some will mistakenly call it pride, that comes from an inner insecurity that one has to overcome, something which a person is really not sure of what he is doing, So he has to resort to an extreme, be it right or left, and someone who feels uncomfortable about being an extremist. So they developed a new idea which is called centrists. All of these are the results of being unsure of what you are, where you're heading to, what you're doing, and being insecure. Baruch Hashem, anyone that has any shaykhs with the Rebbe does not suffer of that illness. There is always this absolute security and conviction that one experiences by his contact with the Rebbe. But the theme for this convention, and that was without my consent attached to the keynote, so to say, is Oholei L'Meis HaMashiach. And as Rabbi Kotlarsky, who by the way deserves a lot of credit for not for getting me here, but for putting everything together so ably, he mentioned the fact that the Rebbe Zozangizun turned around yesterday to Rav Krinsky, the chairman of the convention, and he said to him, Oholei L'Meis HaMashiach. The Mishnah is really, the wording of the Mishnah needs to be explained. Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Hari Aniki ben Shivim Shono, V'Lizah Chisi Sheti Omer Yitzis Yitzayim V'Aleilis, Ad Shadrosha B'Zema. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, I am as old as I would be, 70, and I have not had the opportunity to say Yitzis Mitzrayim V'Aleilis, to mention the exodus of Egypt at night, until Ben Zema came and explained the pasuk. Mantis kesim sesem Mitzrayim keimech hayecha, yimei hayecha yomim keimech hayecha alelis. V'chachomim emrim, yimei hayecha olam hazeh, keimech hayecha should have been halelis. Yimei hayecha yomim keimech hayecha alelis. That keimech hayecha first to alelis. So Chachamim come and they say that Yimei Chayecha involves entire life, and Keu Yimei Chayecha L'Hovi Yimei Mashiach. Was about L'Hovi, but there's another diuk. Keu Yimei Chayecha, it doesn't say L'Hovi Yimei Mashiach. Keu Yimei Chayecha means L'Hovi Li Yimei Mashiach. Keu Yimei Chayecha assigns to us the task to bring to the Yimei Mashiach. Whom? What should we bring to the Yimei Mashiach? The Yimei Mashiach will come, and they are here, and they are waiting. What are they waiting for? They are waiting for us to bring something or somebody there. Who is the something, the somebody that they are waiting to be brought to them? It's the whole world. And the Keu Yimei Chayecha L'Oholei L'Meis HaMashiach is the task of the Shliach. The Shliach is assigned the great, difficult, but great schus and task to bring the world to Yimei HaMashiach. And this is the task of the Shliach today. There has never been a time when the Oholei L'Meis HaMashiach was at hand, was something which is a reality. And not only a reality in word, but a reality in real achievement. We are approaching, we're seeing a world that is ready to be conquered. A world that is eager to hear the message, providing the message is brought to them properly. And the Rebbe spoke yesterday about the difference between a shliach and a shatchan. A shatchan is one who brings two propositions, a proposition together to be accomplished. A shliach is the one who has actually the power to accomplish it. But to be a shliach requires something. And let me tell you what I think. The potential of being a shliach is within each and every one of us. Whether he was assigned a shliach, whether he's assigned by a shliach who was assigned, which is shliach, eser shliach, that is the seed. And this is the potential that is given from the Mishaleach to the individual to become a shliach. But to be a shliach depends on the individual. Having the potential is one thing. Realizing the potential is another thing. And while one may realize the potential at one time, he may find it wanting at another time. This is a constant struggle that one goes through in the process of shlichus. To be called in Yechidas, as we were in our time, and to be assigned a place of shlichus, which is the envy of any shliach today. Imagine to be called in to Yechidas and to be sent somewhere as a shliach. That is the greatest thing one can dream of. Yes, true indeed. It is a very unique schus. But the question is, once you have been assigned, once you've been given that potential, what do you do with it? And that depends on us. This is no easy task, because a shliach has a very difficult task to fulfill. It is a great opportunity. It is a great schus. It is the spelling of purpose in life. But one has to struggle to get the assignment. And once you have the assignment, you have to constantly struggle to earn it. When you have a big body of water, you sometimes forget that there's a difference. Whether the water is in the body without an attachment to the wellspring, which in course of time can dry out, once in 7 years, if it dries out, it shows that at no point was it a real body of living water. And you can have a small little bit of water, but it is attached to the spring, so it has all of the qualities of Mayim Chayim. To become a shliach is a gewaltige schus. To be a Yid is a schus to be chosen from all nations in the world. To be a chosid is a gewaltige schus, to be zeichet, to have the merit, to be singled out by Hashgoche to become a chosid. From the Chassidim itself, to become a shliach is a gewaltige schus. And let us not forget it for one moment. This is not something that should awaken within us a feeling of arrogance, looking down at someone else, even a shliach, was bist du, so forth and so on. No, because as the Rebbe mentioned yesterday, the Gemara in Herius, Sroru ani neisen lochem, avdus ani neisen lochem. Shlichus is a gewaltige schus, but shlichus requires a thorough dedication. Eser keiches hanefesh. We find that the always the shvotim and in given shivtei ko, the holiest of the holiest. Aber a shliach is given Yosef, and Yosef HaTzadik heißt nicht kein Yosef HaTzadik, because he was able to go into shlichus, into danger, face his brothers, his enemies, and so forth and so on. That is not why he is called Yosef HaTzadik. He is called Yosef HaTzadik because in the most intimate moments of his life, when he faced the most difficult challenge that any human being can face, at that moment he realized that he's not on his own. The most yankiv of Oholei. At the moment of real challenge, when he's away in Zambia, in Zaire, in Philadelphia, in Uruguay, in Brooklyn. At the moment of challenge, he's not alone. The image of his father Yaakov appeared before him.
And he was not only able to survive, but he was able to thrive. He was able to stand up and turn Mitzrayim into a country that recognized Hachamishi Sufare, that there's a God in this world. It is for that moment that he was able to stand up that he earned the title of Yosef HaTzadik. The Muzdi Yeknish Yankiv Avinu. Why do we have to look when we have before eyes the Gvaldikas Chus to send them Heiligers diesen von him forever? Tag ein, Tag aus. Let us take this along with us. Let us thank Hashem for the Schus Miram Gehat, the merit that we have from all the generations, to be chosen from the millions and billions in the world, to be in this room and to be called the Shluchim. Well, let us remember to be assigned the Shlichus and to earn it from time to time is terrific. But this is a constant struggle that one has to struggle to make sure that he continues to merit and earn it. But let us remember, a Shliach is one upon whom the whole struggle and the whole goal of the Rebbe depends. Lemasi yodecha tichse. The Rebbe needs the Shluchim. The Rebbe cannot accomplish his job without the Shluchim. It's a fact. How, why Hashem wanted it that way, we don't know. But the Rebbe's task needs the Shluchim. And let us remember that the millions of Jews in the world are dependent on the matzev of the individual shliach. It doesn't matter how smart he is. It doesn't matter how well he can articulate the message. Because today we have a sophisticated world with communication worldwide. In one moment you can reach the world by fax, by other means. In one moment you reach the entire world. But precisely because it's so wide, it's so shallow, it's not even an inch deep. You get messages, you get faxes and everything else. It does not make a dent. The task of the shliach has not been made easier one bit. The touch and the contact of the individual shliach, who is the vehicle through whom the message of the Rebbe reaches the community, reaches the masses in the world, that has not changed. You can send over the siches, you can send over the maimorim, and you can take advantage of everything to the extent that you can. But this has not substituted for the personal contact of the shliach. The shliach is the vehicle through whom the word of the Rebbe reaches and can reach all of the Jews who are eagerly awaiting. And you question, are they really eagerly awaiting? I have visited many Jews who are happy to get rid of my visit and don't give me even an appointment, even I asked, what do you mean they're eagerly awaited? And the answer is, and those of us who have paid attention, it's true. There are many, many who are not looking out for us, who are not eagerly awaiting our call. But if we could stop to think, it's because they don't know. One of the best kept secrets in the world is the Lubavitch movement. With all the publicity and everything else, it's one of the best kept secrets in the world. Can you imagine what's happening here this evening? You have over here Kinahora concentration, not only in terms of numbers, but if anyone would really want to think and evaluate the situation of Yiddishkeit in the world today, this here in this room is the concentration of the power, of the dedication, of the hope that constitutes the anchor and the hope for the future of Yiddishkeit in the world. There's no question about it. And let me tell you, and this is not exaggeration, and this is not self-serving and so forth and so on. This is a fact.
Except when each one of us goes back to his home and goes and looks at his situation and so forth and so on, it's difficult for him to imagine it and see it that way. But if he would really look at it objectively, not subjectively, objectively, you will find that this is the case. The Rebbe so angesund is the only leader in the world today. You have in the world, and it's not a question of paying compliments and the exact. You have to remember, the world today is filled with many who are willing to lead. And they take polls, whether it's political life, whether it's religious life, they take polls. And there are two madrigas. There's one who says, look, I have an idea, and let me lead you there. And it's attractive, and they follow him. Then there is a better madriga. And what is the madriga? That you have someone who takes a poll, and he fills out the crowd, the public. And once he has ascertained what it is that the public wants, he's willing to give it to them. This is the Pnei HaDor ki Pnei HaKelef. Leadership that leads and is setting the tone and the direction comes only from one place. And let us remember, leadership is not always popular. A real father is not so popular and loved by his little children. Chesech shiftei seine benei ve'eyavei sheicharei musa. A disciplinary child, a disciplinarian father at the time is not loved and liked by the child. But he is really the true loving father. A leader who is popular is no leader. The Rambam sagt that Moshiach will be one who Yokuf es kol Yisrael loleches bedrochav. He will force all the Jews to walk in the path of Torah. I can understand if you'll insist that non-religious Jews should become religious, so that requires force, rolokuf. How about the religious Jews? How about tzaddikim? How about chassidim? How about mikasharim? How about shluchim? Where is going to be the kfiyah over there? But that's Moshiach. Moshiach is going to require from us, to demand from us, such an attitude and such a life that for the greatest of the tzaddikim, this will be a kfiyah. This will be a demand which will have to force them beyond that which they are willing to adhere to. Moshiach also la sova tzedekaya b'tiyufta. He will come out with an agenda. He will come out with demands that the greatest of Shlichim and Mikashorim and Tzaddikim will find it difficult to adhere to. This is Moshiach. And we are the Shluchim. I would like to share with you just one episode that I came across this week. The Rebbe was angesund, gave out Sunday night a kuntres. And the kuntres was Vayu Yochai Sora Maimer. Those who were here present had it. Those who came later got it also. And when I opened up the mimer, the first thing I found in the mimer was $1. $1 bill. Well, it's convenient to put it in, so the Rebbe gives the mimer together with $1. But by Rebbe is talking convenience. That may have been an idea of those who prepared to make it easier for the Rebbe. But the Rebbe gave it. So when you open up the mimer, you have to learn the $1 first. And then you continue the mimer. It's there. So let me tell you what I did. I opened up, and I learned the $1. One thing in the $1, I remember the Rebbe explained once, and that is where it says in the $1, it says, E pluribus unum. A pluribus unum is the right way to say it in Latin. Meaning, from a rabbim, you make a yochid. You have a rabbim, because we are many bodies over here, but together we are united. So from the rabbim you make a yochid. Fine. On the top it says, in God we trust. How do I know that in God we trust is something which is important to learn from the dollar? Because I had once a shlichus to a balabos, but the Rebbe sent him $1, and he circled with a pencil around the God we trust with an arrow. So for the message that he wanted to get across, he used the dollar bill with the pencil. So the Rebbe used it to him, and I was a shliach, so I learned it. In the middle it says one of the Chabad Ogeret. So it says in the dollar that you have to make from the Tzibur HaYochid, and in God we trust, and one. But then you also have to take a look at the left side. And mind you, not all the dictionaries have it, with all due respect. It says, annuit septis. You know what annuit septis means in Latin? Dr. Green, Dr. Lyons, you don't know. Do you know? Well, I won't put you on. Yeah, I found it in a dictionary. Annuit septis in Latin means he. And it says in the dictionary, I don't know in the Oxford dictionary, but it says in the dictionary I looked up, he, God, in parentheses, has favored our undertakings. Can you imagine? Masi yodeinu keineneihu. The Rebbe's capital. Masi yodeinu keineneihu in Latin means annuit septis. Then you look at the bottom of the seal, and what does it say at the bottom of the seal? Novus ordo seclorum. And that means in Latin, a new order of the ages. You have to look further. You have a new order of the ages, and you have Masih Denu Kinenehu, and you have a pluribus unum, in God we trust in one. But when you look at the seal, at the top of the seal, the pyramid which is built is not finished. It's the same bill that you got from the Rebbe this afternoon. And at the top there is the triangle which has an eye. And the idea of the one who drew it was that you can build a pyramid up to a certain point. But at the top, you have to resort to divine providence to finish it up for you. That the massim of an individual reach a certain point, but at the top, you still have to resort to Hashgacha Pratis. This is $1 was mir gekommen von Reben, wir geben den Meimer, und nach dem lernt man bei ihr Chayesot. Jetzt, let us go back to the subject which we spoke about before. Is this a separate thing from what we spoke about before, or is this the same thing that we spoke about before? The Rebbe actually did not assign us a mission of bringing together Ma and Ban as the Rebbe spoke yesterday. The Rebbe showed us that Ma and Ban are the same thing. We have been assigned the Neshama Bekirbi. We have been put in a world where the Ma and Ban appear separate. How can we accomplish the unity of Ma and Ban? That is when we realize that really there is no separation between Ma and Ban. Yes, we'll go out in a world where the reality there will put certain demands on us, and demands that will interfere with our daily activities, demands that will put obstacles in our goals and aims and in our mission. But that is only on the superficial. That is only on the outside, on the chetzenis. But the minute we are able to rise above or dig beneath, what will we discover? We will discover there the unity. We will discover there that which the Rebbe not only teaches us, but the Rebbe actually convinces us of that fact. The unity of Nigla and Chassidus, the unity of Ruchnis and Gashmis. And this is something that we can go out with to the world outside.
This is the mission that we have as Hashluchim. And therefore, if we will only remember that the union of Moshiach is when the Shliach is able to discover and develop his own Eser Keiches. And the way to do it is through the Mus Diukne Shoyankev Avinu. Then the Kinus Hashluchim means a source of inspiration, so that when we come away from here, we will march into the world and find it not as an outside. We'll find it as a part of our inside, because there's really nothing out there in the world to contradict what we have learned and what we have experienced here inside. There's no reason for us to have to resort for inspiration if only we will be able to find the Shliach within ourselves. And in conclusion, Kimei Tzescha Me'eretz Mitzrayim Arenu Niflois, that the prophecy says that just as in the time of our exodus from Egypt, so will be the coming of the future Niflois, or the present Niflois, to which the Rebbe was referring yesterday. Let us remember the Chazal, which the Rebbe mentioned many times, that at the time when Yetzias Mitzrayim came to the peak, the Jewish people found themselves split into 4 directions. There were those who were so weak that they decided and they suggested, God forbid, to give up. Suicide. Then there was another extreme who said, no way, we are going to fight the Egyptians. We're going to fight the odds. Then there were those who said, we're not going to suicide, commit suicide, we're not going to fight. We're going to return to where we were before. But then there was a 4th one. And the 4th one was the one who said, let us resort to the strength that we have, which is prayer. Hakel kel yanke. What could be more than that? In time of need, we should turn to prayer, a very spiritual solution. And the Torah says to us that the call of Hashem that came to Moshe Rabbeinu was not only to negate the first 3, which appear to be negative, but even the 4th one, which provided for and called for prayer, which is the greatest thing one can resort to. And it says these 2 is not now called for as the other 3 are done. What is it? Matitza keloi. Daber b'nei Yisrael v'yisou. This is not a time for despair. This is not a time for discouragement. This is not a time to resort to anything, not even to spiritual action. This is the time that calls for